All right, so this lick has two techniques involved that we're going to discuss. The first one is something we discussed in an earlier lick, which is that staccato type phrasing. Now this is the one where he actually pivots off like one or two notes and he just keeps repeating the phrase. And that's a really cool thing to take notice of, where part of the reason why it's really punchy in the track is because it separates itself from everything else that's going on, the legato stuff and everything, of course. But it's also really in your face because it's a repeating lick. Anytime you repeat something, it really sticks in the listener's ear. Now, you generally, most of the times, don't want to repeat something verbatim, like every time da 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 da, the same notes and the same exact phrasing. But the way you see Guthrie do this is his masterful way of not doing that, but making a repetitive phrase sound so cool. And it turns itself around because he chooses, he'll skip a note, he'll throw in an extra measure or an extra rest in there. It's just really, really cool. So the lick goes like this. Right? And you hear all that. He's playing two notes, then he plays one last note, so he plays three notes, and he stops. Then he stops. And he's pivoting off of this 8th fret and 6th fret on the E string. Then he goes to this one time where he goes, he just pivots back to this instead of going to that 6th fret. And then the last time he does it, he goes, and he does all those notes in a row with no rest. He goes, and then he pivots off of those two notes instead of throwing that 7 to 8 in again. He goes, instead of going, right? And all those things, by eliminating just one note or adding an extra rest, it turns that phrase around. So it's the same exact phrase repeating, right? But he keeps throwing in a little rest or, again, skipping a note. Now, the thing you can take out of this is you could do this in anything. Do it in your simple pentatonics. So again, A minor pentatonic. Take that same phrase. It's a 3-note phrase. So I'm just doing the D string on the 5th and 7th fret. Then I'm pivoting off of the 5th and 7th on the G string. Stop. Do it on the next string. Right? But you don't want to just do the pattern da 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 da. You want to turn it around. So maybe do. So you see how that's you're just slightly turning around. And when you start throwing that into a solo or an improvisation where you're just doing, regular blues licks or, again, legato runs and all that stuff, it really breaks it up nicely. So you don't have to know any great scale. It's just a phrasing technique. So again, throw in some more interesting notes instead of just pentatonic. Throw in maybe the flat 5. If that doesn't sound good to you, throw in the minor major 3rd. And then maybe go up to that, the 4th and the flat 5. So you have the minor 3rd, major 3rd. Now you just change the pivot notes. So again, these are just ideas, then taking that concept and exploring with it. So after that, he gets into this little arpeggio idea. Right? And all that is playing this little 4-note arpeggio, moving it up, 2 different shapes, and you'll see that in the transcription. Then he goes, and that's a little wider one because this arpeggio might be, right? So you have, and he skips this arpeggio. So if you want, you can just find those little shapes. You can harmonize it, say in the key of A minor or C major, where they're all natural notes. You take the E, F on the B string, then the A and the C on the E string. Now go to the next note of it. So you have F, G on the B string, and B to D on the E string. Then you go to G, A, and C and E. So you have, right, and you just keep going up, and it's that pattern. Now he slides again, he skips one of those. So instead of going, he goes one, skips the next one, and goes to the third one. Then he skips the next one, then he goes up. Right? You could just keep going with this. And again, explore on other strings too. Just don't do it on the high E and B string. But those are two really unique techniques that you could use in your improvisation.